Is this thing on?
Yes. Hi, I'm Erin Spencer.
And I'm Stacy Smith.
And this is Between Two Brokers, a podcast about real estate, business, and life.
Hang in there. We're smarter than we look. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Brokers. We are back today with Mickey Bakst for part 2.
We covered a lot of ground in the first episode, but we didn't even get to half of the stuff that I want to talk about, and I knew this was going to happen. I want to start this episode with something that is very important to me, which is my lifelong dream to be the next host of Top Chef. And I feel like you know the people to get me there. So I just want to put that in your brain.
Okay.
In case you're bored one day.
So call Tom Colicchio and say, Tom,
yeah,
I've got your next partner. Get rid of Kristen.
Whenever Kristen is ready to unburden herself
Kristen's
with that
ready
job,
to leave.
Yeah, it's going to be me. Okay. When I travel anywhere, I went to Paris over Thanksgiving, been in New York City several times.
You didn't need eye candy?
I
mean, come on.
Next time.
Okay.
Yes, next time. And I, obviously research what restaurants I'm going to go to. Go to some of the best ones. And when I'm done with the meal, I'm like, it wasn't as good as Fig. It wasn't as good as the ordinary, whatever it is in Charleston. How did we get to a place where this little city of ours has the best restaurants in the world?
I disagree with this entirely, by the way.
About restaurants?
The
best.
The best.
Yeah.
I don't like, she loves Fig. I don't. I'm just saying.
Stacy has bad taste.
What's that?
Stacy has bad taste.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how we got here. Again, I'm going to be arrogant. We got here, because of Mike Lotta. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. I did a thing.
Also fun to look at.
I did is he really? He looks good these days. He asked me to do a speech about him at the Spoleto luncheon when he was being honored. And I will tell you that Mike Lotta for years was singularly the most thoughtful chef in the country. He was, everything he did was intentional with that restaurant. Whether you liked the food or not, the restaurant itself was perfect at a time, perfect. And Mike Lotta, who was doing farm to table, I hate that expression, long before it was famous, it got a PR agent, long before Kale got a PR agent. Mike Lotta really had a lot to do with it. I'm hesitating because I hate to say this. I had a lot to do with it.
I know you did.
I had a lot to do with it. And my role in that was that I'm the one that brought every single major chef to Charleston, from Danielle Ballou on down. And and I used to take them to Fig, all of them. And I remember a night when Danielle, we did an after party at Fig, and Danielle's in the kitchen at 4:00 in the morning cooking eggs. The people who I brought and I introduced, God, this sounds so freaking arrogant.
No, brag on yourself.
But it's just true. The people that I brought here were the best in the country during that time, and they were all my friends. And I brought Danielle here, I brought Barbara Lynch here, I brought Tom Colicchio here, I brought Norman Van Aken here. I brought everybody that was the stars of the show at that time. And they were able to taste Charleston hospitality, and they were able to eat some of Charleston's food, all which wasn't great. I agree with you. All wasn't great. And they went and they spread the word. they spread the word to restaurant people around the country. They spread the word to media people in New York. All of a sudden, the media people are starting to look at us. At the same time, Helen Hill and the CVB is doing a major bang-up job promoting all of this. And so Charleston's food scene grew out of, I believe those two things predominantly. And I said earlier in the last episode, we went from being known for history to being known as a culinary destination.
So how does that happen, though? I mean, is it just exposure? Like, okay, so yes, all these celebrity chefs come here, but they don't open restaurants here. Like, how is the food scene changing as a result of them being here?
I think what's happened is a lot of people who come from their kitchens are starting to come down here. There's a great chef in Minneapolis who was Danielle's number 2 for years. He's sending people down here who are coming to work here.
It's literally like just word of mouth.
It's
and yes,
absolutely
yes. And of course,
word
people
of
want to
mouth.
live here.
Yeah. And then Sean Brock happened.
Yeah.
And you can't deny the influence of Sean Brock and Husk. You can't deny that. But now we've got, I just sold a dinner at the event the other night for 12 people. Did you see that?
Of course.
$35,000 3 times. And that's not Mike Lotta. That's James London at Chubby Fish, Dan O'Hines at Vern's, and Jason at Lowland. The new generation is coming. And these kids know people all over because they've worked all over. I mean, I'm in awe of them, their ability to bring other chefs to town. Everybody who comes here likes it.
Yeah.
Everybody who comes here tells other people.
And that's why we can't get in anymore.
And the explosion, call me.
The only time I can walk into Fig and get a seat at the bar is the night before a hurricane hits.
Yeah.
We were
me.
talking, Mickey, I really need a seat at Chubby Fish.
Does that make sense to you, what I said?
Yeah.
though?
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking when you first got here about how you miss the industry. How did you know it was time to retire?
I didn't. I wouldn't have retired if not for COVID. Mm-hmm. My wife always said, nobody wants a 72-year-old maitre d'. Nobody wants to see a maitre d' walking around in a cane. I'd go, honey, I'm not on a cane yet. And I still believe I could run circles around many of the people. But COVID changed it. And COVID was when I decided, with my wife's encouragement, it was time to change. Things had also changed at the Charleston Place. The management that the hotel was under, I really didn't want to tolerate, to be honest. It's not the current management. But the big thing was the thought of going to work and not hugging, kissing, and touching every single person that came in was appalling to me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't fathom it. And I knew that's what was going to happen when we opened back up. And I wasn't willing to end my career in a mask. And I'm not making a political statement on masks. I think that, thank God, I got healthy and you got healthy. But I just couldn't do that. And it just didn't feel right as a way to say goodbye to the industry I loved.
That's fair.
This episode is brought to you by Bill Payne with First Home Mortgage, NMLS number 283298. I've been using Bill for over 20 years for all of my mortgage needs. He's a pro. He's excellent at communication. What's happening with interest rates? We do not know. Call Bill at 843-532-1392 and he will answer all of your questions about mortgages, rates, and what's best for you.
I know you don't like bragging about yourself, so I'll brag about you a little bit. Dining for the Cause was the event that you hosted last Sunday, and you so graciously invited me to. Thank you. I was sat at a table with strangers who I loved, all of them. The guy next to me, Tom, who we've already connected after the party, we were kind of going around the table. How do you know Mickey? How do you know Mickey? And he is one of the food and beverage directors for one of the largest hotel chains in North America, in the world.
Oh, in the world.
Yeah. So he said when he came to visit Charleston and he was walking around with you, he said, I have never seen anything like this. And I'm buddies with all these big chefs in New York City, Gramercy Tavern,
Right.
et cetera. He said people would stop us on the street and say hey to Mickey and want to shake Mickey's hand. When we went to 167 Raw for lunch, and everyone stopped by the table and paid homage to him. I mean, and I'm like, I'm just nodding my head because I'm like, yeah, I know. That is Mickey. You're just so special. And I know you're sad to have to retire during COVID. We all miss you, but I'm so glad that you're still doing all the many things that you are doing.
Thank you.
Which brings me to Feed the Need. You raised over $1 million in one night.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Not
How many
bad.
people were there?
Not bad. There were 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the $1 million came from less than 150 of them. Thank
And
you.
I know one
Thank
couple.
you for your donation. Yeah, I go back, and I said it at the last time. I don't know what I've done. I really don't. Call my wife. She'll temper your opinion of me really quickly, in a nice way, though.
But people can't say no to you.
And I don't know why. And I don't claim to have any idea as to why, and I don't claim, and I don't.
Because you stand for kindness
Well, thank you.
and you help people.
Thank you. I've just. I died on an emergency room table in 1982. They had to jumpstart my heart. I died because they found me in a room in a hotel, surrounded by bags of dope and booze and empty bottles of booze. And if they hadn't have done a wellness check that day, that hour, I probably wouldn't have made it. Along the way, people have helped me become me, right? My parents, when I was young, took me, I said it the other night, I think. They would take my brother and I down to an area where people were standing in line to eat, and they'd say, there's always somebody with less than you, and it's incumbent upon you to help. I mean, that's what I was raised with. I went to rummage sales, and I helped hand out food and as a kid, right? I don't know how it developed, but I have a natural ability to bring people together to help others. And it's a gift that I was given. And yes, $1 million is extraordinary, and I'm thrilled by it.
Okay,
but
you're not disappointed.
I've raised, huh?
You're not disappointed.
No, because it was over $1 million.
I couldn't read your face when you were saying that.
No, I've been blessed, and we did a assessment. I've raised over $40 million in my life that is tangible. It's easy. It's easy. I pick up the phone call. I call. I got every one of those 81 auction items, and every one was simply a phone call or a text. I sold every one of those tickets. I sold 260 of them. I sold every one, most of them with a text. And so it's relationships.
Well, and I think too, it's like, you don't know why, whatever. Okay. I think it goes both ways, actually. I think, so you are a generous person with your time, with your word, with your eye contact, with your time, with your money, okay? That is infectious. Energy, generally speaking, is though, you know, and it's the other way. Like Erin and I have had a very tough month last month, and we had some combative behavior. And me, who's always like this, all of a sudden I did, you know,
right.
Because I had that. And so I think you have to decide, because I think for you, Mickey, like what I tell people is I'm like, life is just so much better when everybody around you feels good and is in a good mood and is nice.
Amen.
And so if you are giving that, then that is what you receive back. And if you are cutting with your word or threatening, you know, we have to do negotiations all the time. And I'm always telling people, I'm like, this is how we communicate. We're always kind. We're not going to threaten anybody. If I hear anybody on my team threaten somebody else,
You're out.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah.
Because of how it makes somebody feel. So, you know, I just think it goes both ways. So if you want more, you have to give more.
Well, I think I give. I do think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you
I
definitely
do
do.
think.
Erin loves a generous man.
Yeah.
She
Do I?
does. You do.
Yeah.
And a
I know.
fundraiser.
Yeah. So let's talk about Feed the Need.
Sure.
How did that come to be born?
2008 October, the Post and Courier had a little puppy named Hefner. He was adorable, a little Yorkie. And I walked Hefner every morning and sang songs. The neighborhood would wake up to me. Seriously. Do you know people would stop me on the street and say, "You're the guy who sings. Thank you. It makes me feel so good every day." True story. The Post and Courier wrote an article that 180 Place, which was at the time called Crisis Ministries, was going to have to stop feeding people one day a week to offset the lost budget, the lack of funds coming in. And Hefner and I were walking, and I looked at him and I said, "Okay, little shit, I think I can do something about that." And then I came to what I always come to: I can't, but we can. And I called Mike Latta at like 7:30 in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, and I said, "Mike, I want you to agree to go into shelters and feed lunch." And he said, "Okay, if you said so." And literally, by the next day at noon, I had 52 restaurants agreeing to go into a shelter one day a year and cook for 500 people. And that grew. And at one point, there were 113 different services a year where we went into the shelters. And then somebody came, and the Post and Courier was very influential, and so they wrote an article about it again. And a customer came and handed me a check for $10,000. And I said, "That's great. My wife is looking for a new jacket." And I said, "Wow, thank you." And all of a sudden, I realized that we could raise money and give to these organizations. Then Steve Palmer was doing a dinner for No Kids Hungry. And I looked at him one day and I said, "Why the hell are you sending money to New York when we could keep all that money here and use it to help people in our community?" And he said, "Okay." And then out of that came this big dinner that now, I don't know, in the 9 years has probably raised $6 million, I would think. You know, I mean, 1.199, yeah, probably $6 million over the 9 years, and that's how it came to be. Now, to be honest with you, I do not send restaurants into, after COVID, it was really difficult to say to Mike, when he was struggling to keep his staff, "Mike, go ahead and please serve," or say to anybody in town, So we became a mini United Way. And all of the money we raise, and I say with great pride because of Ellen, that's my wife, everybody, because of her, we were named an angel charity for South Carolina, which means we give back the largest percentage of money raised of all but 3 or 4 charities in South Carolina.
Wow.
Because we have nominal expenses. And so that's what Feed the Need is. I work with Our Lady of Mercy. I work with Neighbors Together. I work with 180 Place to help them continue to be able to help others.
Well, we're very proud of you, and thank you for
Thank you.
all that you do for our community.
Thank you. I've been blessed to do some things that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Were you at the Emmanuel event?
No.
That was a big one.
For the church?
Yeah.
What was that?
That was after the shooting. In 12 days we put together an event, 1,500 people, 56 restaurants, 22 wine and liquor distributors, 2 orchestras, and I was able to write checks to each of the 10 surviving families for like $90,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
We need to get on it, Erin.
No.
This episode is brought to you by Brian Wells at Coastal Creek Design. Check them out at coastalcreekdesign.com. Erin, remember when we had Brian on the podcast recently?
Yes.
I was so impressed with how he had a team of people, structural engineers, architects, designers, all in-house, all a one-stop shop for your renovation and new build needs. What did you think about it?
I think what they offer is invaluable because a renovation can be so daunting sometimes. You have no idea where to start. Do you start with the architect? Do you start with a contractor? Do you start with the house first? I don't know. No one knows. And so really having that one-stop shop makes the process so much more efficient.
Yeah, and simpler. So we definitely recommend calling Brian Wells at Coastal Creek Design if you're considering a renovation or new build project. We highly recommend them. And you know what else I like? I like the demeanor of everyone I know that works there. I think they're calm, I think they're chill, and I think you need that when you're doing a renovation, addition, or new build.
Definitely, because your emotions will be through the roof.
Yes, so check out the chill people at coastalcreekdesign.com.
What has your sobriety taught you about life?
Don't take it too fucking seriously. Honestly. Just try to think as positive as you can. I wake up every morning, and every morning I hear a different upbeat, positive song. And it's really important to me. It's realizing that the little shit is not worth stumbling over. And it's realizing that my life is a gift. And I very rarely get rattled. I very rarely, if I get angry, it's because I see somebody doing something to somebody else.
Because nobody's going to fuck with you.
A few people.
I need names.
No, a few people. But it's just about, I learned that everything is dependent on the way I think. You know, I remember, this is really aging me, but I remember thinking and reading something. You're on your way, this is before cell phones. You're on your way to the most important interview of your life, and you get a flat tire. And you're nowhere near other cars. You get out of the car and you go, God damn it, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. This is horrible. You build yourself into, like, what am I going to do? This is the end, blah, blah. Or you get out of your car and say, I have a flat tire. There's not a thing I can do about it. They'll either understand or they won't. That's it.
Yep.
And it's all about how you think that gets you to how you feel. And I think that I think pretty positively 99% of the time. I really do.
I feel like we spend a lot of time telling our agents about accepting the things you cannot change.
It's essential.
And just getting to make choices about your thoughts. You know, you're aware of it. I mean, I think that sometimes our default is negative, but if we're aware of it, then you can switch it. I see Erin's journal down there that she wrote 100 pages in prior to this interview. And by the way, I don't know that she's prepped for any podcast before, but she's a super fan. But I would like to ask him a question, if it's okay with you, darling.
Yes.
I have seen and heard about how you talk about your wife. Tell me what, when you met her, what was it? A little bit of the love story, because we don't have tons of time, but more like, I think that a partnership that, like what you appear to have, with mutual respect, she's able to give you critical feedback because she loves you and you accept it. And it's not like, well, you don't care about what I want. This is how I've received everything you've said. She wants what you want. She tells you that. But she's able to say, like subliminally, this is probably a dumb idea, you know, like how, but like how, but that's, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like how, but tell me about your relationship. I mean, when I looked at your social media, the way that you compliment her, I mean, just what has she done for you? What has she taught you? And the importance of a romantic relationship like that.
When I met Ellen, I was 17 years sober. And I wasn't sober a day. I was clean and dry. I lived a very different life. I was a gambler. I was a womanizer. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I drank 100 ounces of coffee a day. I was a bloody degenerate, to say the least. Ellen didn't click overnight. Ellen by no means did it. It was not love at first sight. It was not magic right away. Ellen stayed there, though, continuously. And through constant acts of kindness, she wore me down, to be very honest. And she made me realize that I could be a better person than I was. And that kept growing. And then when we moved in, she gave me a balance that I never had, that I didn't have before. She was there to be able to talk to before I made ridiculous mistakes. She was there to be able to be supportive when I didn't know which way to go. And she's been a mainstay. And listen, everybody puts beautiful pictures on website, on social media. 90% of it is 100% the way it is. But there's ups and downs with, as you know, and you know, every relationship. But I've been blessed in the sense of being given a person who helped show me how to live a better life. And out of that comes love. I mean, how can you not be grateful to that person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mickey.
Oh my gosh.
I am moved.
Stacy. All right. Well, I think we have to wrap it up.
You can get back to your list. You can get back to your list.
Go back to your list.
Yeah, go back to your list.
How would you describe Charleston to someone who's never been here?
It's a tough one because you're selling real estate, so I should be careful of what I'm saying.
No. Trust me.
You know, Charleston is not Charleston the way it was 20 years ago.
Right.
We all know that.
I'm ready to pump the brakes on the growth, just so you know. It's an unpopular realtor opinion, but it's true.
They should have pumped the brakes on the growth a long time ago.
Yeah.
It is a city that has a historical charm. It is a city that has a colorful being polite, history. And it's a city that's just getting overcrowded, in my opinion. You know, I don't come downtown that often anymore.
Yeah.
I come down to see people, but it's changed
Same.
radically. Huh?
I said same for us. I mean, our office is in the cigar
Yeah,
factory,
yeah,
but
I know.
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know how to describe Charleston anymore. It's a ever-changing city, and I'm fearful for what's going to happen to it.
what
you
are you
know.
afraid of?
I'm afraid that the growth is going to become so great that the city is not going to feel.
The charm will be lost.
The charm is going to be lost.
What part of town do you live in now?
I live in Mount Pleasant,
Okay.
up near Boone Hall.
Yeah.
Listen, if my wife was willing to move, I'd probably move. Don't know where. That's the thing. We don't know where. You know?
Well,
I mean, there's no place like it. You know, that's the thing is,
You can cut this out of it.
no,
so
I don't want you to cut it
for-
out. I don't want you to cut it out. I think
That was
it's
our-
really,
our
I
5-minute
think
warning.
it's really important to hear what people's perspectives are on the change, local people. I mean, you know, you're a pivotal person. You saw it 20 years ago, whatever. I mean, now, to be fair, it's not like it was completely and totally amazing 20 years ago, right? We talked about all of this before, but Charleston felt like it was ours in a sense. And I don't even know what that means. Yeah. It's just like, it's still a very small town, but
It's lost its small town feeling.
yeah, it has. And, you know, definitely like the tourists and, you know, that kind of thing has really changed a lot of things. I mean, when I think about like living downtown and having to deal with like just the hassle of all of it, you know, it's just very stressful. And it used to not be that way.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I miss the Charleston of the 2000s.
Right.
Yeah, I really do. And I've been bitching about it for years, and this one gives me a hard time. But yeah,
I think a lot of the change has been positive, but you know, you can't control it, and you know, it's like certain things have been favorable, and
Yeah,
certain
like the
things
food
haven't.
scene. You
Yeah.
can now get different kinds of food.
Yeah,
But we still can't get Chinese food
We
that's good.
Do not have
What
good
the
ethnic
hell's
food.
wrong with this
No,
town?
and that's the thing. When I'm going to Vegas with my girlfriend, I'm making a list of some of the.
Have you ever been to Lotus of Siam?
No.
Look at it.
Okay.
Every chef in America goes there. It's in a strip mall off the strip next to a swingers club.
Oh, perfect.
And it's called Lotus of Siam. It's chefs will tell you it's the best Thai
my
food
gosh.
in America.
I love all the tips.
Erin, any last question?
no, we
Really?
just you're
Thank
so
you.
special and such a gift to this community, and you know, I hope Ellen never wants to move because I don't want you to move away. I when I run into you accidentally, it is the highlight of my day, and when you invite me to things, it's like the highlight of my week. And having you on the show will be the highlight of this season. So just thank you for all you do. It's
Yes. And
Wow.
give money
Thank
to
you.
Mickey's causes.
yeah, and
Ben's Friends.
Ben's
give
Friends.
the
Hope.
websites.
Ben'sFriendsHope.com and FeedTheNeedCharleston.org.
Just Google
We've
it.
never made a real website for Feed the Need. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
But we have a
Just
donation
when you
button.
see Mickey, give him a check.
That's
Yeah.
a
Just
good
send
one.
me-
Thanks,
yes,
Vic.
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
I like that.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming.
It's
we
a
really
pleasure.
appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of our community. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Tell all your friends, and we will see you next time.